I say it often, but this week has a special meaning. Our country is truly the greatest force for freedom and human dignity in the face of this world, in the face of history. This week, we took decisive action to confront fear and hatred and terror. First of all, President Trump announced that we would withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal, the staple of weak, Chamberlain-like foreign policy known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. You know, history has shown us, many of us have realized for a long time, and it's demonstrating right now, that real peace cannot be purchased for the price of $1 or for $150 billion, any more than a real friend can be paid for. President Trump clearly understands the importance of many issues that the Obama administration chose to ignore. The government of Iran, by their own admission, wants America and Israel destroyed, but this historically bad deal provided a clear pathway for Iran to expand its nuclear weapons program, and Iran has boldly declared that despite the deal, they can kickstart and produce enriched uranium within 2 days. The sanctions lifted under the deal have emboldened Iran and allowed them to further their ballistic missile testing program, sell oil on the world markets, colonize the Middle East through their own terror arm Hezbollah. They have imprisoned U.S. citizens, taken our sailors hostage, fired rockets toward our Navy vessels out of Yemen. Today, we see foreign policy through strength. Under President Obama, it was foreign policy through concession. The Obama administration empowered Iran to test launch more than a dozen ballistic missiles and to threaten to use those same missiles to strike the United States military bases. President Trump's decisive action was a much-needed first step in the long road towards undoing the damage that has been caused by the previous administration. Another huge victory for freedom and human dignity this week came out of North Korea. President Trump, Secretary Pompeo secured the release of 3 American hostages. This is certainly a time for celebration for our nation, most importantly for those men and their families. I am proud to say that we have given North Korea's Kim Jong-un nothing except the threat of extinction. And that's what has brought this about. As a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, we have prioritized ratcheting up sanctions on North Korea, and it's clear that this pressure is driving North Korea back to the negotiating table. Now we have to continue to exert pressure so we do not make the same mistakes that the past administrations have made with North Korea and the same mistakes that President Obama made with Iran. When I look at these great moves being made to strengthen our national security and undo damage of the last 8 years, I have to think back to my own time in the Army. The moves being made now are strengthening the positions of our fighting forces because our enemies know that President Trump isn't going to concede ground to them. He follows through from a position of strength. No more will America bluff any kind of red line. Another issue that I often saw when I was serving in Afghanistan is open-air burn pits. This is something that's very close to my heart. These burn pits waste and create airborne toxins that are now having serious health effects on current and former members of the military. This could very well end up being the Agent Orange of my generation. This is why I recently introduced legislation called the Burn Pits Accountability Act with my colleague and fellow veteran Tulsi Gabbard. It's so critical that we study the effects of exposure to burn pits on our service members, our servicemen and women, and begin the process of understanding, assessing, and treating their health effects to prevent this from turning into fiasco like Agent Orange has been for so many of our veterans that served so honorably during the Vietnam War. These men and women have served our country bravely, selflessly, and it's our obligation to make sure that we understand their health issues to get them the care that they need now, before it's too late. You can read all about that bill, all about that legislation on my website, www.mast.house.gov. Switching gears for a moment here to domestic policy, in Florida alone, small businesses employ over 3 million people, or nearly half of the private sector workforce. These companies are truly the backbone of our economy. That's why it's so critical that we empower aspiring small business owners with the tools and resources they can use to thrive and get the government out of the way so there's less red tape and it's easier for business owners to just turn the key in the door every morning and open up for business, or for those new students coming out of university to go out there and be entrepreneurs, knowing that the government's not going to prevent them from reaching success. This week, we passed several bills to do exactly that. We passed bills to strengthen cybersecurity for small businesses, to increase opportunity for female entrepreneurs and communities that are often left out of getting resources because they're far from large urban and financial centers. And we also passed additional bills that will expand assistance for small business owners so they can hire more employees and thrive. Coupled with our tax cuts, which made great progress by adding a historic new tax cut for many of our local small businesses, the bills this week, they will continue our economy on a pathway towards success, and I couldn't be happier about that. I think about businesses in our community we are proud of, like Maverick Boats, who I visited last week. I see the 200,000 square foot facility that they're building in Fort Pierce, in addition to the old facility that they had, the new employees they've added, the better productivity that they're going to have as a result of their new facility. It's amazing to see the dream of entrepreneurs coming true. The U.S. unemployment rate is at the lowest level since the year 2000. Compensation increases for small business workers are at the highest level in nearly 20 years, and consumer confidence is at higher levels than we've seen in the last 18 years. We're going to build off of this success, fix Washington, and restore confidence in our great country, both domestically and internationally. And on that note, as always, it is an absolute honor to represent you, to serve you here in Congress. I hope that you all have a great week, a great weekend. I look forward to seeing you all around town always. See you at church, see you at the grocery store, see you at some event. Look forward to seeing you all around town. Take care.